Ray County.
Hello and welcome to the Rogers TV COVID-19 program. I'm Carol Merton, and before I welcome our guest today, I would like to share a few thoughts with you. Here in Grey Bruce, we continue to celebrate that we are in the green or prevent stage of the provincial reopening framework. On March 23rd, the Grey Bruce Health Unit issued a press release to remind us that the third wave of COVID-19 is likely. We cannot afford to let up on efforts to prevent a resurgence of COVID-19 as we move toward the vaccine's widespread distribution. Despite being in a favorable position with active cases, new cases, and case numbers, we cannot afford to become complacent. We must double down our efforts to ensure that the residents of Grey Bruce remain as safe as possible as we await that widespread distribution of the vaccine. The Grey Bruce Health Unit has asked in their media releases for the public to put forward as much effort as possible to prevent this third wave. The initial message that kept our community in a favorable position remains just as important and meaningful today. Watch your distance, wear a mask, wash your hands. We want to continue to enjoy being in the green zone. It is good to be green, and we want to do all that we can do to stay green. The sacrifices that we are making each and every day are helping to prevent the spread of COVID-19. We are making a difference, and we are saving lives. Thank you to everyone. And now I'd like to say thank you and welcome to my guest today. I am delighted to welcome John McLachlan, who's from the Habitat for Humanity. John and I spoke, my goodness, almost a year ago, I guess, around COVID-19 and Habitat for Humanity. And he's back to fill us in on how things have been, what's on the plans for Habitat for Humanity, and to just give us an update. John, welcome.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Thank you. So, just before we talk about Habitat for Humanity, for those who may not know you, can you describe your role and also describe Habitat for Humanity and the initiatives it's taking?
Okay, Habitat for Humanity is builds affordable housing for lower income families we believe that everyone deserves a decent place to live, so we try to build houses for people. We build them in a very economical way with as much donated product, donated money, and volunteer labor as we can get our hands on. In most cases, we then sell the house to the families at fair market value. They pay for that house back with a no interest, no down payment mortgage that is geared to their income. So we never take more than 25% of their income to pay for the house, the principal mortgage, and the realty taxes. And my role is I'm sort of the fundraiser, the guy who has to get enough money to build all these houses and maintain them and things like that. So.
Excellent. So you really do gear the payments on the guidelines around affordable housing, because certainly that 25 to 30% of their revenue defines affordable housing.
Yeah, CMHC lays out the definition of an affordable house is a house that doesn't cost more than 30% of your income to maintain. Probably more than 50% of the people across Canada don't live in an affordable house, if you will, because they're paying more than 50% or something like that. 30% is where the CMHC guidelines are. We make it 25, and we don't include utilities in that. So.
Okay. So before we talk about other services, there's been a lot of talk about recently COVID-19 and house prices. And you mentioned about pricing the houses for market value. Are you concerned about the increased demand and the pricing of housing and the market value related to the homes that you've built?
It's absolutely a serious problem in some areas, especially when you get over to Saugeen Shores and the price of housing over there. But for our families, it doesn't damage them because their mortgage is still geared to income. No matter how much the value is, the amount they pay does not go up. So it works out really well. Our model is very good for families in that way. So
excellent. And Habitat for Humanity, is it in chapters or branches serving certain areas? And
yes, Habitat for Humanity Canada is the overall federation leader, if you will. We call ourselves a federation, and each one of our branches is an affiliate. And our affiliate is Habitat Grey Bruce, and we build throughout all of Grey and Bruce counties. And I don't have to tell you, that's a pretty big area to cover. So
it absolutely is. And you cannot build a house by Zoom or Skype, right?
No, you actually have to have hammer to nail and feet on the ground. So, but through COVID, it was very interesting because at the beginning of the year, 2020, we had planned to build 4 houses up at Nash and Ingming and 2 houses in Owen Sound. And then COVID hit, and Bandon Council, in order to protect their community, said we couldn't bring volunteers from outside the community into the community. Mm-hmm. Well, that caused a bit of problem because that takes away your whole labor force almost, So, and then the government came down and said, oh, by the way, you got to cut out your number one fundraising, which is your restores. We run 3 restores throughout Grey and Bruce, 1 in Owen Sound, 1 in Hanover, and 1 in Port Elgin. And they said we had to shut them down. So that's our number one source of funding. So that was gone. And then our second top fundraiser was a golf tournament we run. And of course, that got canceled. So suddenly we got left with no source of funding whatsoever to build 6 houses with no volunteers. So it was a bit of a challenge. So
yeah. So how did you?
Okay,
what did you do?
We ended up cutting down the number of houses we were building at Nash and Ingming to 2. We have a subdivision up there that fits 18 houses. First year we built 4. The second year we built 6. And so 2020, our plan was to build 4 again, but we cut it down to 2. And then we went out and hired a group of people and started writing grant applications all over the place to try to fund it. And fortunately, we were able to accomplish that. And we got 2 houses built at in Nash and Ingming, and we got 2 houses finished in Owen Sound. And the families were all in by Christmas.
Wonderful. That's remarkable in the middle of COVID pandemic. I mean, that is absolutely remarkable. Now you have a plan for 2021.
Yeah, riding on the high of 2020, because I agree that was remarkable. And I think our construction manager, Matt Bryan, deserves a vote of credit because he worked hard to get it all done, and he did. So that's amazing. So 2021, let me just go back a bit. Nash and Ingming was a couple of firsts for Habitat for Humanity Grey Bruce. We built the first house in Ontario on First Nations land and at Nash and Ingming in 2017. Then in 2018, we were the first ones in Canada to build in partnership with a band, a Habitat, and Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. We formed that partnership, and we were the first ones in Canada to do it. That worked out so well. We have traveled all across Canada talking about it. This is prior to COVID. And I think this year there are 4 Habitat affiliates following that model that we sort of discovered. And it's going all across the country. It's amazing. So we're pretty happy with that.
That gives me goosebumps. That is so exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It really, really is. So, and we've had calls from all across Canada. Of course, with COVID, it's a little bit different. We can't travel to talk to them and all that kind of stuff. But we've done a few Zoom calls and explained a few things, and quite a few of our affiliates have come out. Each affiliate runs independently and can do what their board, they run by board of directors, what their board directs them to do. So we've accomplished a lot in our little tiny affiliate in Grey Bruce. And so what we did then is we've reached out to Saugeen First Nations. And last year, 2020, we started negotiating with them for 2021. And we were able to sign an agreement with Saugeen First Nations. And the plan is right now we're going to build 4 houses at Saugeen First Nations. Mm-hmm. And we're going to build 4 houses in our subdivision up at Nashning.
Excellent. You know, it's amazing when you think about the fact that an idea that grows in one area can spread so far. I mean, it is remarkable. And it certainly is amazing outreach to people in need.
Yes, especially important when you look at First Nations housing on First Nations property. You don't have to, we always talk about third world housing. You don't have to go across the water to find it. You just have to go to one of our First Nations communities, and there's third world housing there for sure. Wow. Chief Greg Nadjawan said when he was talking about our project, he said this project puts truth and reconciliation into action rather than just words. And I think that's probably the best compliment I ever heard.
Yes, absolutely. It definitely is. And it's building relationships and restoring relationships and partnerships, but it's not just in our area now. Your actions are spreading further, and I think that's remarkable. Now, the number of houses you choose to build, how do you decide how many, other than COVID, of course? How do you pick the number? I mean, I know there's a need out there.
The driving force is usually land and how big that land is. You can't build a house if you don't have land. So up at in the First Nations, land is abundant. There's a lot of land there. So we set up a subdivision, and in the first year, we thought we'd tackle 4 houses, and we thought we could do 4 houses. Then the second year, we said, well, we could probably do 6 houses. So we decided to do 6 more, and it works in conjunction with the housing manager at Nashning, how much he can afford, because they have to pay for the houses. And so we work with them to see what financing is available. And then once we've made that agreement, then it's our job to go out and get the products and the labor and the volunteers and all that stuff to build the houses. So it's usually done in conjunction with the financing.
From your experience, and this may not apply in our particular location, but just generally, when you mention land as the primary determinant of number of houses, the availability of land, in any of the Habitat for Humanity groups, has there ever been brownfields? You know, like sometimes there's land, but for whatever reason, you know, they haven't been developed. Has Habitat for Humanity ever had an opportunity to develop or build on brownfields?
Yes, sometimes too many opportunities. In fact, Owen Sound Habitat for Humanity Grey Bruce built 8 houses on a brownfield in Hanover. Back in 2011, 2012, the property was deemed to be have too much zinc, I think it was, that had too much on it, and it was going to cost $50,000 to clean it up. So we worked in conjunction. The Hanover the municipality of Hanover was very helpful, very cooperative, and they allowed us to, they waived all the tipping fees at the dump for all the contaminated soil. So yeah, we have built on brownfields, and we would look at a brownfield. I know Winnipeg also had one that was pretty severe. Don't know what actually ended up happening with that, but brownfields are something we do look at, but you have to figure in the cost of how much it's going to cost to clean it up.
And that's where true partnerships and financial assistance, or like you say, waiving of things, because it benefits everyone, I would think, but there's a cost, a huge cost for that. No, that's really helpful. So exciting new build. You said 8 houses this year, but that's not all you do.
So, well, no, I think you're referring to a little bit of delivery things we did.
Oh, fill us in and tell us if you've added any more delivery things, or where you are at this point, because I know the community need is still there and has actually grown.
Yeah. So what happened a year ago when COVID first started, and it was almost exactly a year ago, we heard a cry for help from the food banks that some people had product, or they couldn't get toilet paper. That's how it all started. They couldn't get toilet paper and they were screaming for it. So we got talking to the United Way and said, hey, we got some trucks sitting here doing nothing because we're closed down. Maybe we could help out for a couple of weeks. And so we started delivering toilet paper. United Way bought the toilet paper. They found it someplace down south, down in Lucknow, I think. So we went down, picked it up, brought it back, and started delivering it to all the food banks. Well, one thing led to another. Bruce Power had some sanitizer they wanted to get out to the food bank. So we said, well, we can deliver the hand sanitizer too. Then somebody asked I think it was Francesca, asked if we could deliver hot meals to people that are in temporary housing in hotels. So we did that. We said, yeah, well, we could do that. That was every single day. Then what else did we do? Oh, beds for people that had moved from a homeless situation into a home situation. United Way sourced the beds, and we went and picked them up and delivered them to the families. And then another food source needed some produce. There was extra produce in Owen Sound. They needed it in Markdale. So every Monday we did a run down to Markdale with a truck full of produce so that they could do a meal program down there for their seniors, it was actually. So all of this was for a couple of weeks. That was a year ago. And my last run will be this week. We're getting out of it, kind of sadly in a way, because we were doing some good things and
Yes.
we're helping a lot of people, but we have to now go back and focus on what we have to do. So our trucks are not available. Matter of fact, we're fighting over trucks right now to say, I got to deliver toilet paper. No, I got to go do this and I got to go do that. So, so we have to hold off now. So, but we got one last call last week to see if we would deliver 1,100 boxes of masks on behalf of Bruce Power.
Wow.
To the food banks to give to their clients. So we're just waiting to find out the timing on that, and if it is, we'll make it work. So we have been busy through COVID doing all these deliveries, and it hasn't been really easy.
No. First of all, the community is so fortunate. 2 weeks migrated into a year, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, and also, I think of your logo, like the habitat, where you have a roof, right? You have a symbol. But what you've actually done is done more than the build. You've filled food and furniture and supplies and safety to people's homes not necessarily the ones you've built, but
Yeah.
certainly, yeah.
Yeah, we delivered, I think we delivered on behalf, well, I guess on behalf of Habitat, we delivered to about 20 homes, furniture and things like this that they didn't have any. They were moving out of a homeless situation into a home situation. So not only did we deliver bed, we would deliver couches and tables and all this kind of stuff. So we did a lot of that. At the end of the day, I think we delivered over 10,000 meals to the hotels and motels, about 40,000 rolls of toilet paper, and about 40,000 liters of hand sanitizer.
Amazing. Now, you have volunteers as well as paid staff,
Yes.
correct? I must ask you, what did they say about this different role that they would do? What did you hear from them, or were you the primary driver?
I was the primary driver. Yeah, because our staff was all laid off because we were shut down. So it fell on my shoulder. So I got to see parts of Green and Bruce counties I didn't know existed. So, but when the staff came back, we did use them to do the deliveries. We never used volunteers. We always used staff because staff is insured on our vehicles. Right.
You know, whatever your last run is, you really do have to decorate your vehicle.
Well, we've had a lot of fun with it. And like I say, this is the last week is the week of March 29th till April 1st. And I'm not even sure who's going to do that delivery because we're so busy with everything else. We're doing a renovation over at our Port Elgin restore. And so that's where my delivery guys are at this time. They're over there doing that. So everybody's pitching in and helping. We work as a team. We succeed as a team, and we don't fail. So
I think it's remarkable, and it's such a wonderful example. I mean, I nicknamed it the Great Toilet Paper Caper when we talked about it before.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a wonderful example of community organizations working together to meet a need. No one ever anticipated it would go on as long as it did, but you sustained that momentum and that service to our community, and just remarkable. Well done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But now what we have to do is we have to start focusing on what we're supposed to do, and that is affordable housing and things like that. So we're challenged now to build 4 houses in Saugeen at 4 different locations, and 4 houses up at Nayash and Ingming at 1 location. So we're going to be building in 5 different locations in 2021. So we've got to find a way to get the people moved around. We've got to find a way to get tools there. We don't know if we're going to be able to use volunteers yet because the protocols, the COVID protocols aren't out yet for construction. So we don't know where we're going at this point. All we know is we're going, and we will make it work somehow, somewhere, you know. So
I have a question about your restores. You mentioned you were doing a revamp. So the stores are starting to open under COVID protocol, correct?
Yes, our Owen Sound and Hanover store are open just Tuesdays to Saturday. We're not open Sundays or Mondays at this point, partially because we just don't have the staff to do it. And our Port Elgin store, we hope to have that open, I think, sometime in April. So.
Okay, yeah, which will be great.
Yes.
But like you say, you know, you've only got so much staff, so you have to prioritize where you put the staff, correct?
Yes, yeah.
So Habitat for Humanity has done so much for our community. What is your request? How can the community support you in what you're doing?
Yeah, well, like I said, last year, we got pretty much all our financing pulled out from underneath us. We had to shut down our restores. We couldn't book. One of the things we do is we book volunteers on our sites, and they actually sometimes come as a team and pay to be there. Well, we couldn't do that. So all our fundraising, our golf tournament was canceled. Our ability to have teams come out it was gone. So we had to dip into our reserves. And we used up most of our reserves in 2020 to build the houses we did do. So now my job is try to build those reserves back up. So if anybody is able to donate money, we could use it. So, and they can do it just on our website, habitatgraybruce.ca, and just click on the donate button. So.
Yeah, and that's important for the community to know that, and there have been organizations that have been fortunate enough to be able to get grants to do functions, but we also recognize that that's not an ongoing operating kind of fund, and you need an ongoing fund.
Yeah, I wrote a lot of grant applications last year, and I'll be doing a lot this year too. And fortunately, we were successful on some grants that helped get us through, and that's why we were able to build 4 houses. So.
Yeah. So as we move forward, the issue around housing shortage it seems to be a current theme and a current topic. Habitat for Humanity houses is remarkable. I imagine you anticipate you will need to continue to build houses even after 2021 with the need. So if someone needs a house, how do they communicate that? How do you find out about the need?
Yeah, if someone's looking for a house through Habitat, the starting point is always our website, habitatgraybruce.ca. And if they don't have access to the internet, phone us at 519-371-6776 and speak to Rochelle. But if they got access to the internet, go to Habitat Grey Bruce, fill out what we call an expression of interest. And what we're finding is we're getting more and more of that than we ever had before. We're getting a lot more interest, which is good. And we, when people fill out that expression, we go through them. We look through them, see if they're applicable, and if they are, well, they might have to be asked to do a full application, which we'll keep on file for 2 years.
Okay, so once a person applies, you advise them whether or not they qualify for the process, and then it's on file for 2 years. So that's helpful for people to know. Yeah, I know you're a very busy man, and we actually started taping the show early because you had to be away. So I have. The world of Zoom calls, eh? So I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes. So. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. It has been wonderful to see you, and I again thank you so much for all that you and your organization is doing for our community. Thank you, John, and thank you to our viewing audience.
Please join us again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Join us again to learn more about services available to you during COVID-19. Take care, stay safe.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
With NHL Center Ice, you get a premium ticket to the games you want every night of the season. Catch every key out-of-market matchup each week. You'll get more goals,